Hello, this is Muhammad Umar Farooq, biological video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. You can also answer question to each other in the comment below for solving the problem. So today we will discuss about the cytokines. So the cytokine is the chemical which that is the communication between two cells which that can be same or different. So the same cytokine, same cell so the cyto mean the basically cyto mean the cell, kines mean the movement. So the movement of the cell and differentiation of the cell is occur. While the cytokine it can be paracrine signaling or autocrine. Autocrine means the same cell signal, while the paracrine means the different two cells which that is stimulate to each other. So basically, small soluble molecules produced and secreted by wide variety of cell and act as a intercellular mediator. So let's here we will discuss about the overview to understand here the dendritic cell, for example, which that recognize the antigen. So you should remember that, and that means the T cell is activated by the T cell which that is differentiate, and it is produced the cytokines. A cytokine is bind to another cell to proliferate. It means the alter the activity, growth and differentiation will be occur. So that means the specific receptor are present. So hormone-like molecules it is, and that is the basically soluble. So that is why it is and bounds molecule. So the membrane bound molecule. So membrane receive this molecule and that's activate to the other cell to growth and differentiation, as well as secrete secondary cytokines. Also secrete the secondary cytokines if the secondary, so that was the primary and here is the secondary, or the growth itself and differentiation. So that means it is the signaling molecule which that signal from one cell to another cell is the possible due to the cytokines. So there are many cytokines we will discuss about in this video. So please watch this video till the end. So the hormone-like molecules, basically hormone-like molecules, it is a soluble membrane-bound molecules and chemically protein. So this is the chemical protein or glycoprotein. Glyco means the glucose composed with the protein or carbohydrate composed with the protein. While the molecular mass is less than 30 kilodalton, as well as short half-life it is, and mostly act over a short distance. So that can be autocrine or paracrine. So the autocrine means same cell regulation, while the paracrine means the different cell which that is one cell is the different, other is the different to stimulate. Like here is the diagram to understand the autocrine the same cell, while the paracrine means the different cell which that one cell produce the cytokine to stimulate the other different cell. So the autocrine mean the same, auto mean the ultimate automatically one cell which that stimulate to another in the same colony, while the paracrine hormone means the one colony will stimulate the other. So that the distance is very short between that signaling molecule. So the effective at low concentration because of specific high affinity cytokine receptor are present in the cell. So that why, and sensitive at low concentration. So the low concentration of cytokines is not a problem. So the cytokines is the we can classify the cytokine in the form of interleukin IL and tumor necrotic factor or tumor necrosis factor, which that means the it's signaling of the tumor cell. So that means, and interferon is the INF is the another, and colony stimulating factor CSF, as well as the chemokines. This all is the cytokines. These cytokines is first let's talk about the interleukin number 1, which that's in ILS. Inter means the between and leukos means the white. It means the 35 interleukin interleukins identified, such as interleukin 1, interleukin 2, and that means, for example, here I am drawing the leukocyte which that produce the interleukin, and this interleukin which that is bind to another leukocyte, for example the white blood cell. Leuko mean the white, cyte means cell, which they are bind and ultimately proliferate or other cell activation also. So it means it is bind to one cell to another. So it means the interleukin mean the inter between, and leukos mean white blood cell. It means the two white blood cell different which that stimulate to each other. So it means that is not involved to another cell but same white blood cell, not other cell. So the other cell also but same type of cell, for example the same white blood cell just. So here is the interleukin 2 produced from the T cell after the recognition of the pathogen by the different mechanism due to the dendritic cell, if we will talk about the T helper cell, and produce the autocrine signaling to stimulate more proliferation of T cell and growth and activation of T cell, while on the other hand interleukin 4 will be stimulate the B cell to proliferate and produce plasma cell and B memory cell. So this plasma cell and B memory cell will be produced for a adaptive response of immune system. So the second line of defense is used for it. So B memory cell is the future infection activation, while the plasma cell on the on the time when the infection will be occur. So the tumor necrosis factor is the TNFS, is the another type of cytokines which the TNFS are produced by mast cell. So the mast cell are present in the tissue and macrophage and T cell. So it means the membrane bound into the cell membrane. So that means the membrane bound into the cell membranes and regulate immune response as well as inflammation. So inflammation cause. So that is mast cell, and here is the macrophage or dendritic cell contain a toll-like receptor which receive the pathogen and recognize to produce TNF alpha. So the TNF alpha produced to activate the neutrophil to recruit the neutrophil toward the site of infection and kill that pathogen by the endocytosis, by the antibody containing antigen containing complex will be engulfed by the neutrophil as well as macrophage. So the mast cell is important character which that are present in the tissue, which that produce the tumor necrotic factor. Tumor necrotic factor is used for the cancerous cell, for example tumor cell, which that is mast cell give the signal, because mast cell is every time are present in the tissue, so that's why. On the other hand, the interferons, basically interferons, IFNS. So the INF alpha and INF beta is the interferon, which that is two type. So first of all, two type. It means the first type is the INF alpha and INF beta. This is the, for example, infected tissue which contain a cell which that infected cell is by the virus which recruit the cytotoxic T cell as well as T helper cell. That means it CD4 containing molecule and TCR receptor which that receive and recognize the antigen and kill the damaged cell, and that means the cell death ultimately, necrosis, cell necrosis. So the next is the INF gamma is also produced. That is the second type of the interferons which that recruit the macrophage after the binding of the INF gamma with the receptor. So that phagocytosis will be occur after the engulfing of the cell death, so that macrophage use for it. On the other hand, the role of interferon as an antiviral defense mechanism we will discuss. So the interferons will be produced. Let's talk about, here is the infected cell which that, and here is the uninfected cell. So the infected cell produce the interferons. These interferons will be bound with the plasma membrane of the uninfected cell to alert to produce the antiviral protein due to the gene transcription to translation, and these antiviral protein will be inhibit the more infection of the virus. So that means inhibition, but the infected cell will be killed by the cytotoxic T cell due to the adaptive response, for example the cancer cell or something. So here the colony stimulating factor is the CSF, which that is essential for the growth and differentiation. That is the colony stimulating factor. Colony means the colony, and stimulate the colony, and differentiation of immature leukocyte in the bone marrow. It means the bone marrow contain a colony of cell. So the red blood cells, monocytes, granulocyte, and lymphocyte, which that means it is the basically differentiation of that cell. It means stem cell will be differentiate, or monocyte differentiate, granulocyte differentiate, and lymphocyte differentiation, and red blood cell differentiation reproduce red blood cell. So they ensure that the body is supplied with a specific white blood cell of all types. So the all type of cell will be possible due to the colony stimulating factor CSF. So here the MCSF is the another monocyte colony stimulating factor, which that is the monocyte colony stimulate. So that it means that here is a bone, which that is bone marrow contain produce MCSF, which that is the T cell is produce, and that means produce from the bone marrow to produce the growth of monocyte lineage. So that is growth of the monocyte due to the MCSF, because the monocyte colony stimulating factor, it's stimulate the colony of the monocyte. So that's important, stimulate the colony of the monocyte, while the another is the CSF is the stimulate the colony of different type of cell, but here is the special cell, for example the monocyte, to recruit and produce basically macrophage by the differentiation and proliferation. And other is the GMCSF, is the granulocyte macrophage colony stimulating factor. It means the granulocyte macrophage colony are present, which that is stimulating factor. This is the stimulating factor which stimulate GMCSF produced from the T cell and macrophage to create a dendritic cell. So these T cell and macrophage produce the CSF, GMCSF, which that is differentiate the dendritic cell into the Langerhans cell of skin and Kupffer cell on liver, for example. So on the other hand, the GCSF is the granulocyte colony stimulating factor, which that means the granulocyte colony are present, which stimulating factor, which that stimulate that granulocyte colony. So it means the monocyte is produce CSF, and this monocyte basically produce and stimulate the differentiation and development of neutrophils. It means the colony of the granulocyte, which that is stimulated by the monocyte produce the cytokines. So that means, on the other hand, the chemokines, the last one is important for you, that acts as chemo attractant and signals to leukocyte to move. It means the chemo means the chemical, kinetics mean the movement. So the acts as chemo attractant and signal to leukocyte to move. So that's control movement of leukocyte. It means here is a blood vessel which contain many leukocyte. For example, we take a neutrophil. So this neutrophil is moving into the blood, but when the infection site in the tissue, which that is recognized by the macrophage and monocyte, will convert into the macrophage, and this macrophage engulf that pathogen and produce the chemokines. These chemokines is go into the blood and stimulate near the infection site. The neutrophil stimulate to engulf the pathogen by near the tissue. So that means the infection site movement or recruitment to the infection site. So that is the important thing to understand. While in summary we will discuss that is just summary, cytokines are those chemical which stimulate another cell, and cytokine is produced from the infected cell to recruit the leukocyte for defense mechanism. So that important thing. So important thing is that the cytokines is basically stimulating factor, and this stimulating factor is stimulate to another cell to recruitment or give the response by this mechanism. While in summary we will talk about the cytokines are those chemicals which stimulate, just you should understand by this definition. And that's basically cytokine is that molecule which that is interfere to another cell, same autocrine or paracrinally. So that cytokine receptor are present whole molecule, whole cell contain a plasma membrane which contain a lot of cytokine receptor, which that is mean the less amount of cytokine will be create the more and more response due to the high number of molecule receptor, cytokine receptor, so that you give the response and inflammation side. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe the channel, and you can give the suggestion for this video and give the suggestion for more.